All right, I think we're going to get started here. Thank you again for joining our next installment of At Home with Holland Home, our webinar series, and had a lot of great feedback, even just in the last week, actually just this morning, from many of you about how much you enjoy these webinars and how helpful they have been as you go through the process of deciding about the next chapter. So we're glad to do these. We're really happy to then load them on our website under resources, hollandhome.org/resources, so that you or family members can check them out later as you have these conversations about these next choices and steps. So this is a topic today about choice and flexibility that has come up quite a bit recently. So we thought it was a timely topic, especially when we think about Holland Home and maybe comparison to some of our peer communities. So we'll get into some of this content. Just as a reminder, we will have a Q&A session at the end. If you have questions, please be sure to put those in the Q&A spot. We're happy to answer as many as we can. And if they're really specific, we may have to do that offline, but happy to answer as many questions as we can. If you put that in the Q&A, that's better than the chat, just because we're trying to manage where all that information is coming from. Our next event is an in-person event. It's about downsizing. That'll be on April 17th. So look for an email on that here pretty soon. If you have interest, then you can RSVP. That, again, will be an in-person event. So as always, you see my face, but I'm joined by a great team of other Holland Home professionals, Cindy Price, Selena Meister, Victoria Carson, and Patty Alexander all join me on this webinar. So we're grateful for their work too. And I guess without further ado, we should just get started here about choice and flexibility here at Holland Home. I think when we first think about choice and flexibility, we have not one, but two campuses that people can choose from. That's, again, a little different than some. We have our campus that is at Breton and 44th here in Kentwood, Breton Woods, and then our Raybrook campus, which is at Burton and the Beltline near Calvin University. And as we talk about some of these things today, not just having two campuses, et cetera, one of the reasons we feel like we've been able to be flexible and offer choice is because Holland Home remains locally owned and managed. So our leadership team is right in the community. They're in the same community you live in. We're not beholden to an out-of-state entity or to somebody on the east side of the state where we have to get approvals for everything. It is local. And, you know, our leadership team, including our CFO, our strategy officer, our president and CEO, do regular meetings with residents. There's access to them. So I think that's not to be minimized at all. So I think that's one of our strengths, and it enables us to be a little more flexible maybe than some of our peer communities. So again, couple options here on campuses that people can choose from. It feels like most people that we work with will tour probably both places, at least to kind of get a feel for both. And then generally speaking, they kind of hone in on one that feels more like home to them. The great thing is we have some options, and here we love options, and it's great because somebody goes to Raybrook, that feels like home to them, where maybe the next person goes to Breton and like, yes, I can see myself living there. So I think that's a great option. And so within those two campuses, we have really 8 different communities that offer different living styles and living arrangements. So at a Raybrook campus, we have Raybrook's Estates 1 and 2, congregate buildings kind of connected with other levels of care, with the pool, with the fitness areas, with the restaurant. Some people like a stage 3 because it's detached. It's a little more, not the longer hallways. You can kind of come and go. Your car's right next to your apartment. So some people like that. They kind of like it a little more ease of coming and going. And then Raybrook homes, which are condo style living at Raybrook, where it's very much like being in a condo in the community, except you're covered by that continuum of care and that promise of care should you need it. And then at our Bretton Woods campus, Bretton Terrace is the large building you see from Bretton Road, congregate living there. And then Bretton Ridge, which is a little smaller building that's back in the woods, back on Pfeiffer Woods Drive. Bretton Homes, which were our 82 condo style homes that kind of lie in between both the terrace and the ridge. And then finally, our new development of Bretton Homes North, so new construction. So again, a lot of different options. And then within those, you know, some people say, well, I really want to look at the woods. Some people say, I want to look at a pond. Some people, I want to look out onto, you know, what's happening in the community. So even within all of those 8 communities, there's a lot of different views. Some people have to have a southern exposure or a west exposure. The great thing is we got a lot of options, so we can fit those requirements or those preferences that people have. So then within those 8 communities that we talked about, we have a lot of choice again about size. We have apartments, which are kind of self-explanatory. We have standalone homes, duplex, triplex, even at Raybrook, we have a couple quads, as well as here at Bretton. So, and then a plethora of floor plans. If you ask the sales team, like there are so many floor plans. So I think over 25 between, you know, on each campus. So a lot of different options and a wide range of size. So we can go from a 600 square foot apartment at Raybrook, small 1-bedroom, to a 3,100 square foot apartment at Bretton Terrace. Homes can be even larger if you count the finished lower level. So again, a lot of choices. For some people, they want to be in the building. They want to be in that congregate living, so they can just go out their door and go down the hall to go to the pool or to the restaurant. Other people say, you know what, I'd rather just be in a condo. I can kind of come and go. I can engage with the building as much as I want. So again, we don't have a one-size-fits-all here. We've got a lot of different options for people's preferences. So then once you've kind of decided, like, maybe I think I want an apartment, maybe I want a home, there's a variety of pricing plans. So sometimes people are like, wow, this is a lot to digest, but that's where the sales team can help you kind of go through it, understand the different plans, and they all have a plus to them over the other. And so what works for one that may not work for the other. So if you look on the right side of that screen, there's 3 different price plans. I will say there's one more for Bretton Homes North as well, $1,585 price plan. But there's a $3,565 for the most part. You know, these 3 that are listed are probably our primary ones, a $50-50 and a $75-25. So the green number, the 35, the 50, and the 75, that's the non-refundable part. It is refundable under certain circumstances. Your salesperson kind of go over that with you. And then the blue number is your refundable. That would come back to you or the estate in 9 months, or when the home or apartment resells, whichever comes first. So maybe somebody's transitioned to higher care, they get that refundable. Again, we don't say, here's your price, take it or leave it. We give you some choice, because some people, one plan works better than the other. Some people choose the 75-25 plan as an example, because they want to write the smallest check. They want to keep their money and invest it. Maybe that's the number they got from their house sale, so they do the 75-25. Other people say, you know, I don't mind spending a little more, on the 3565. It costs me less money overall because the non-refundable is smaller. So again, a lot of options, and our team is really good at helping you kind of walk through those to see what's best for you. Then when it comes to a second person fee, so if somebody's coming in, if there are two people coming in together as a couple here are two people. So could be husband and wife or any other kind of two persons. There's two options that they can do. They can do a $350 a month approach to buy life care for that second person, or $30,000 upfront. So again, we give you some flexibility. We have kind of expanded this offering over time, where we don't say just say, look, here's your option, take it or leave it. You got to pay $30,000 upfront. Because some people that probably may not work for them. So they decide to do the $350 a month. Now, again, Holland Home's a little different than some of our peer communities, where we do one or the other. We charge a second person fee that's monthly, or we do it upfront. There are a number of communities that do both. They not only is there an upfront fee, then there's a higher monthly fee. So those are all things you need to talk about when you're looking at, at your options here in West Michigan. And then we take an a la carte approach to our monthly fees. If you've done any shopping around, you'll notice our monthly fees are significantly lower than in many of our peer communities. And excuse me, that's because we feel like you should decide what you want. So some communities, and we'll talk about this a little bit, include dining, or they might include housekeeping, and they all kind of pack that all into the monthly fee. We take an a la carte approach. Look, if you want housekeeping, we can do that. If you want to go down to the restaurant, we can do that. But we're not going to force you to have a monthly fee for things that maybe you're not even really interested in doing. So again, it's about flexibility. It's about choice. It's about you being in control of what you want to do and how much you want to engage. So then as you talk about the price plan and you find an apartment, then you really have a lot of options on designing your new place. So at the very minimum, new residents will get to pick carpet and paint or flooring and paint. That's at the minimum. Some apartments need more work, maybe because they're a little older, and we're going to maybe completely gut it, where the resident can pick cabinets and countertops. Maybe they're going into an apartment that is maybe a little newer, but maybe the countertop's damaged, so they can choose some of those things. There is a variety of options, even in our standard line. We have a showroom here at Breton Homes North that our facility services and our designer use to help residents pick out things. But within that standard offering, whether it's carpet or cabinets or countertops, there is a large list or a large number of choices you can make. So really, someone could come in and design their new place without spending one extra dime on upgrades, because the standard offerings are pretty varied. Now, sometimes people say some of the common things we see people upgrade for are perhaps can lighting. I want to have more can lighting in the area. I've gone away from maybe lamps and that kind of thing. Maybe I want to do a solid surface in the kitchen, or maybe I want to add a pantry in the kitchen. Those are some common things we see upgrade. And then our facilities team, our designer, Robin, can help you quote that out to see what something like that would cost you. And then you can decide whether or not you want to do something like that. Again, Shield's going to work with you, give you a lot of choice, working in both in the space and in the showroom to help you pick out all of those things and help you put it all together. So it's kind of fun. And if you like that, and again, a lot of great options when you're talking about the design. And I will add, we just had this comment just recently that we've had from a couple people is that one of the reasons they chose Holland Home was because we gave them some options of how to design it. They looked at other places and they were like not given any choice. Um, and so that spoke to people to say, look, if Holland Home's given us a choice on this, then it's a little more open and a little more open to ideas and really about residents having their preferences and desires met. So we love hearing that. And then when you're here, you can be as active as you want or not. There's a great amount, again, a choice of activities if you want to engage with them. We see some residents attend everything. We see some residents, they attend hardly anything. Again, that's your choice. Maybe you pick and choose. I'm going to do one thing this week and it's going to be such and such. So all of this comes under our Vibrant Living wellness initiative. This is an award-winning, and you've probably, if you've been on these webinars, you've heard me talk about Vibrant Living. This is our wellness initiative that looks at really 5 key areas of aging. This was developed through national research, headed up by my colleague and friend Marenta Klinger, who's our Director of Resident Life, where she was working with national research with a team of residents to say, what makes sense for us to have a wellness initiative? What does successful aging look like? So because of their hard work, because of input from residents, which a lot of this is resident driven, whether it's our activities or programming like this, you'll see us kind of focus on these 5 key areas of aging, whether it's physical wellness, intellectual discovery, spiritual fulfillment, emotional well-being, and social engagement. So all of those things help us age better. And so you'll get a calendar every 2 weeks that have a number of activities you can do. Maybe it's an off-site trip. We do trips down to Civic Theater or the Symphony, Meyer Gardens, all kinds of activities like that, where you can just jump on the bus and go down. So again, a lot of options. We were talking this week, we're talking about choice. Last Friday, as an example, we had that, hard to believe, we had that big snowstorm and the roads were terrible and schools were canceled and the like. But I would say life here continued as normal. So we had residents that went down to the restaurant just like normal, went to the library, got a book, maybe played some games. Friday was movie night, so they went to a movie. Maybe they were swimming. Maybe they're at the fitness center. Maybe they're in the wood shop. Maybe they're just hanging out with friends in the lounge. All of that just continued like normal, even though nobody was getting outside. So the weather outside is not going to dictate a lot of what we're doing here. Now, it may prevent us if we had an off-site event that day, it may prevent that, but life continued as normal within Holland Home. I would add to this, because it is technically spring, despite the weather, that summer's coming. And so we have things like the Breton Park out here with the pickleball and bocce ball and the putting green. So again, some outside activities as well. That's kind of, again, some options where you can be as active or not. And then finally, our dining options. So again, one of the appeals of Holland Home is we don't have a dining contract. So we are not forcing you to have X number of meals in our dining room. If you want to come down to the dining room and have lunch or dinner, that you can do that. So we have on both campuses now cafes and restaurants. We have a market, like a convenience store that people can use. We have one at each place, each campus. So maybe it's about picking up some basics like milk or eggs or bread or some frozen meals that we've made, or some of our homemade soups that you can pick up. Of course, cook your own meals, eat out. It's all about the options that you have. We're not locked into, look, you need to eat 30 meals a month here. I had a resident say to me, I don't like eating at my favorite restaurant every day. So I don't really want to eat here every day. Well, that's fine. I would say, as somebody that does enjoy the food here, the food is great, but it's not, excuse me, it's not required that you eat here. So at Bretton Woods, if you want to have lunch or dinner, that's Monday through Thursday. This is the current schedule. This is subject to change. And breakfast and lunch on Friday. At Raybrook, we're open for lunch Monday through Friday and breakfast on Friday. So you can always get a meal from the Manor if it's on the weekend and maybe you don't feel well and you don't want to cook or something. That meal, you could order that meal in the morning and it could be delivered to you. So it's about options. And again, we've had a number of people come to Holland Home because they didn't feel like they wanted to be locked in to spending money on food. Maybe they'll go away for the summer, maybe they go away in the winter, not being locked into that. So as we think about all these things, from the number of campuses we have, the number of buildings we have, to the design choices we have, to the pricing options that we have, to activities and vibrant living programming, to dining, there's a lot of options. You make the choices. We're not making those choices for you. So that was all I had. Is talking about some pricing and the options and the campuses. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what's available currently. And then I'm going to get to your questions. At Raybrook and at Breton Terrace, we do have some one-bedroom apartments available. At Breton Ridge, we have 1 and 2 bedroom available. At Breton Homes North, we still have our last 2 newly constructed homes are available. And then we have 2 that have recently vacated that are available. So some great options. It's a great time to sell your home, continue to see that. And so we do have some availability as we speak. So I've been talking a lot here, and I didn't even know what the time is here. Oh yeah, wow, that went quick. Well, it did for me. Hopefully it did for you too. So I have one question so far. Please type those in there. Bob asked, what sort of fees are there for bus rides to the Symphony, Civic Theater, etc.? So at Breton, that is a $3 charge to take the bus. At Raybrook, it's included. And they have, if you've compared our pricing, our monthly pricing is $3 off between the 2 campuses. So Raybrook, they just include the transportation, and at Breton, it's a $3 charge. I think it's great when I've been to the Symphony and I come out of the Symphony and I've spent $15 to park and I got to walk down the street and the Holland Home bus is right there. So just a twinge of jealousy for the convenience that our residents have. So that's pretty good. And then I had another set of questions from somebody. Dan had sent in some questions ahead of time, and I think I've answered most of them. He did ask, are there internal activities based on things like St. Patrick's Day, et cetera? So yes, there are. We had a big St. Patrick's Day dinner here last week or week before last. Think about the timing there. There's always a big event on opening day of baseball when the Detroit Tigers open up their season. There's always a great party with hot dogs and things. So yeah, you'll see a lot of holiday kind of themes come in. We've been doing at Raybrook some dinners in the evening once a month, not on a weekly basis, but once a month. So yeah, the calendar is probably as busy. There's no way you could do everything that's on the calendar, honestly. So you just kind of pick and choose what you'd like to do. So any other questions? Do we have an activities director? Yes. So we have a great team. So my friend Marenta Klinger talked about her earlier, where she's the director of resident life, and then she has some life enrichment people that will that work on her team that really organize all of these things. I would say a lot of the things we end up doing here is based on resident recommendations. So maybe there's a group that says like, hey, we want to play bridge, or we want to do euchre or something like that. So we start getting those things together. So I call them kind of our cruise director here at Holland Home. And they're always looking for ideas for, kind of some fresh new things to do. And so, yeah, they're pretty busy, and they're in charge. I say they're in charge of fun here. So, any other questions? Our present monthly fee, and when does it get adjusted again? Our present monthly fee, it's changing April 1st. So, my team needs to weigh in if I'm doing this by memory, John. So you're testing my memory, but I think it's $940 a month. Fees get adjusted every April 1st. So as you can tell with that coming up, it's not exactly in my head. I may be off $1 or $2, John. So don't hold me to that. But as a nonprofit, it's an actual cost. So we look at what were our expenses when we go to look at raising the rate each year. So this year it went up about $40. We look at, okay, what were our costs? And it's a pass through. So then we raise it by that much. So sometimes people ask us, well, what's the percentage it went up? And I said, well, it's really not so much the percentage, because I'd rather have 5% increase of a small number than a 2% increase of a really large number. So what you really have to look at is that number, how much did it really go up? So in our case, it went up, I think, $40. And I'm hoping my team's going to type in there if I haven't gotten that exactly right. So next question, if we choose to take an extended vacation or go down south for the winter, what does that look like? That looks like a lot of fun to me, to answer your question. But yeah, so that's part of the beauty of why people like to be here, because they can they turn a thermostat down, they can leave, they lock their door, and there's really not much that has to, they don't have to worry about a tree falling on the house or any of those kind of things that we normally think about if we're in a home and we're gone for an extended period. So because our monthly fees don't include food and things like that, people are not paying for things that they're not enjoying. So again, it makes going away a lot easier. And so people just turn that thermostat down, and maybe they have their friends, take a peek in their apartment every once in a while, but it makes it a pretty worry-free way to go and be away. And Selena told me I am correct, so I'm glad about the monthly fee. Can I park our camper outside on the parking lot? Yeah, it would be a temporary stay. Sure, see people do that. It wouldn't be something you would store in our parking lot, the camper. But we have a number of residents that maybe they're going to get ready to go away, and so they bring the camper from wherever they're storing it, and they store it somewhere else. They bring it here for a few days as they load it up. When they come back, it's here for a few days. So yeah, you wouldn't store something like a camper here, but absolutely could do that, John. So I am not seeing any other questions. So as I wrap up here, if I do see one before we hang up here, I'll try to get that in. But again, thanks for joining. If you have ideas for webinar topics, we're always welcome. We want to be giving you the content and the information you want. So feel free to let us know. Look, could you do a webinar on such or this or that? We'd love to hear from you. Next event is an in-person event, April 17th, about downsizing. And don't forget, we do have 1-bedrooms at Braybrook and Breton Terrace, 1 and 2 bedrooms available at Breton Ridge, and new homes here at Breton Homes North. So if there are no other questions, I hope you have a great day. And again, thanks for joining in. Take care now.